Hey guys, how are you today? Just trying to get my phone set up so it doesn't fall. Good morning if you're in the US. Good afternoon if you're here in Israel. I'm just trying to make sure that this is streaming both in the group and on my Facebook page, so bear with me a minute. It's thinking. Share now. All right, awesome. All right, guys, how you doing? Here is what we are working on today. I will be going over this Bumblebee piece. So, sorry, I'm trying to figure out the best way to do lighting for you guys. So sorry if it's a little funky for that reason. We're going over Bumblebees today. It's super easy, and I'm really excited about it. It's something that you don't even really need a paintbrush for. You just need to have a thumbprint and some paint. So that's what we're doing today. All the supplies are listed in the description. So yeah, I'm excited for you to be painting along with me. It's going to be good stuff. So there are going to be two ways we're going to do this. So like always, I'm going to show you two different methods. Feel free to comment along. I will try to follow along. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to take that ruler, and if you want to do the two separate ways with me, that's fine. So what I'm going to do is I am going to, I'll try and see. Hi, Lisa, how are you? I'm going to first chop my paper in half. That way I can do two things at the same time with you. So my paper is 12 inches wide, 6-inch mark, 6-inch mark. And I'll keep saying this for those who might be new. This is a very hard pencil. That's how you can tell by the 6H. So a hard pencil means that it makes a very light mark. And that's what we want. It's really easy to erase later. And that's what we're going for. So, connect the dots. All right. So, the right side, we're gonna do like a free-for-all over here. It's especially good for like little kids. That way they don't have to worry about measuring and they can just have fun with this. And no matter who you are, this will be fun to give to the grandparents. It'll be fun to frame for later. Anything with little kid thumbprints is a lot of fun, right? Honestly, I had fun making this, and I'm a grown-up. I'm not a kid. So this right side, we're gonna make a free-for-all. And we're gonna have the thumbprints be wherever and have more of a patterns like this, but more disorganized, more for fun. And on this other side, we're gonna have this more gridded out shape. This is more for you guys who are grown-ups and just want to do something cute, something fun. So, the first step we're gonna have in that is, you see how I have this gridded out up here? There's something very appealing about leaving this bottom space clean. But in order to have this 9 square piece, we have to draw the square here. So that's why I have this all drawn out right here. So what's the easiest thing to do is you figure out how wide is the section that you're drawing in, and then take that exact measurement and bring it all the way down here, and then there's your box. This equals this equals this equals this. Great. Easy peasy Japanesey. So I will go ahead and do that. So inches was easier earlier. I'm in Israel, so all of our stuff is in metric, which is new for me. So this is 6 inches wide, which means in order to get that square effect I'm looking for, I need to come 6 inches down. So draw 2 lines to give myself 2 references. Awesome. And that actually is really simple for the next step, because there's our square. And then if we want 9, then we just got to divide this into 3. Guess what? What's 6 divided by 3? 2. Great, super simple. So we just grid it out. Once again, this is not the most thrilling part of the video, but I want to show you how I do it, and I also don't want you to get left behind. So I'm giving you time to catch up, to draw it yourself, trying very hard to not get ahead of you. Don't draw these in pen. Later we're going to erase them because then it'll look very neat and organized. And you won't have the reference lines left. You're just doing these to keep it nice and clean. All right, 6 wide, 2, 4, 6, great. If you want, you can do another reference here. Or you can eyeball like I do. Which doesn't always turn out well for me, but that's okay. All right. All right. So we've got one side gridded out, and we got one side ready for a free-for-all. Now here's something where scratch paper comes in handy. So what I've got here is you can see where we'll put the thumbprints here in the middle of each square. That's what our reference squares are for. We'll go back and erase these lines later. But you'll also see what I've got down here. We're going to be putting our fingers directly into the paint, and you can see that the intensity of the color and the effect of the shape changes with every time that you put it on the paper without refreshing it. So if you want a really strong color with that great big blot, you go straight from the tray onto the page. But once I blot it once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, it obviously gets lighter because there's less paint each time. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna practice on another piece of paper, just so you get an idea of what I'm talking about. So, this is the only time you're really gonna use a brush because you do need to get your paint wet. I'll actually move this here so you can see this part. I'm gonna move this into a splashier area. That way, it's a lot easier for me to do a fingerprint here than it is in this rounded area. It's just a different way of doing things. So I like having it in this flat spot. And once again, you don't have to do yellow. I'm just doing yellow because obviously it's a bumblebee. So now I've got this spot filled with yellow paint. And now we're gonna take a scratch piece of paper, just anything. Hey Carrie, how's it going? Just any scratch piece of paper, it doesn't matter. We're just testing out what it looks like to blot the shapes that we want. How bright do we want it? How dark do we want it? Do we want it super light? And the only way you'll get the effect that you want is by testing it out. And there'll be another thing we test as well. We're gonna test how we want to draw them too. I had to play around with that before, so I'll show you how I went through that process too. All right, so you can do a thumbprint, but of course, if you're doing a thumbprint, what do? You go sideways. It's also a lot bigger. So I put thumbprint because it was easy, but something that I actually did is I actually used my index finger, because guess what? It's gonna be a lot easier to go across. As you can see, I bite my nails. I know it's a bad habit. My mother and father have gotten after me all my life for it. It's just the way it is. So you can do sideways if you want, and especially if like you're a little kid doing a free-for-all, I mean, just go to town. Do whatever you want, do all 5 fingers. But if you're trying to get this neat uniform right here, the index finger is a really easy way to do it. So now we're gonna practice with the blotting. All right, so I'm gonna show you again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm gonna go ahead and take my index finger. Just get it nice and wet. That way you can see it kind of like pooling up on my fingertip, right? Hi Carrie, oh yeah, no worries. The replay will be here, no problem at all. I hope you enjoy it. All right, so we're nice and wet, great. So now we're gonna go, and without putting it back in the paint, just so we can see how it blots, we're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can see the difference, how 1 is a lot stronger, and as you go down, 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 it gets weaker. I usually like the number 2 because it has a little bit of texture. So I don't know if you guys have ever been fingerprinted before. And I say that because I swear I've just been fingerprinted for my passport, but you kind of roll your fingerprint as well. So something you may want to do, you can see how like the edge of yellow on my fingertip is left. If you kind of roll it a little bit, you may be able to fill in those spots. But, all right, so we've got those. And I'm going to do it another time over here so you can see it from the thumbprint, from the index finger, from the pinky finger, all right? So I got 3 different colors. And then just for fun, different directions, that's kind of what more it'll look like in that sense. So if we want a swarm of bees, something more fun, which I'll put on the right side, that's where you'll put it. Now here's the thing we have to figure out what we want to do. We want to figure out how to draw our little bumblebees. Sorry, I'm rinsing the yellow off of my fingertips, or else it will end up everywhere, as I'm sure it will with you. Hope you guys have fun with this. It's not the cleanest activity, but it is cute. All right, so as I was trying to figure out what faces and shapes to do for these guys, I realized that emojis are perfect inspiration for what to do with them as far as expressions. So if you have your phone and you're not streaming this from your phone, scroll through the emojis, look at what their emotions are. It's like, there's the open mouth with the closed eyes. There's, the worried guy with a little sweat drop on his head, I think. I put a queen bee in the middle just because that made me laugh. So the way that I went for it, and that I'll show you, is I put 3 stripes, 2 wings of different sizes at the top stripe, and antenna. Now I had to play around with this a little bit. You may not want to do antenna, you may want to change where you put your wings. It all is part of the fun. So let me show you the process I went through. Let me see, are we still wet here? Once again, this is the beauty of having scrap paper so you can figure out what you like. All right, so in the description, I encouraged you to get a felt tip pen. Now let me explain why. When you have a metal tip pen like this, especially if it's roller point, this one is not, it's like a liquid. It's a better kind of pen. But if you have roller point, you're gonna be digging into the surface and it's gonna leave an indentation. And especially in watercolor, not always the best thing, especially if you have layers. Not so much important here, but just that's my preference. Also, it digs into the paint itself, and sometimes that can damage the pen to begin with. So I would not use a metal tip or a ball tip for this one. I would use more of a felt tip. Wow, that one's barely existent. I use very small pens, guys. It's kind of crazy. So this one is a felt tip. You can see that it's like almost like a teeny tiny piece of cloth there. I guess that's the felt. Same with a Sharpie. You can use the Sharpie, but I wouldn't encourage painting over it. But in this situation, that would be okay. But if you're painting with kids, Sharpie is probably never a good option. So if they have any felt tip markers, that would be fine. I'll also show you how to do it with the paint, even though that's not my preferred way of doing it. So with a felt tip pen, which I need to find, this is how I draw the bumblebee. Take one of these guys down here. That's all dry. And then we go 1, 2, 3. And then I draw the big wing. Just so you can see, I take the wing all the way down to the butt. Do that on both sides. Just a long teardrop shape. And then a shorter wing underneath. Okay. And we'll make him happy. 2 little dots and a smiley face. And antenna. So that's how I draw the bumblebee. You, of course, can do this however you want. You can do great big lines. You can do a lot of lines. You can keep it. You can try and do just one wing. You can put a wing lower down and see if that works. You can try and draw a stinger on the bumblebee. You can draw just eyes. you could keep it eye-free and just make it very, very graphic designing. You can have antenna, you cannot have antenna, you can try and draw legs. I always think it looks more like a caterpillar, and then it's kind of hard to put the wings in there. There are a lot of ways that you can do this. There really are. And you get to make your bumblebees how you want. I, however, landed on this pattern. 3 stripes with 2 sets of wings and long antenna with dots at the end with expressions based on emojis. Now, another thing you can do is you can do, especially in this crazy one, it doesn't work very well in that grid pattern that we'll have over here. This is more of a clean nature, more graphic designing. But for over here, you can also add things like a dotted line for where they're flying. And that can be a really fun way to add motion to your painting. And you can see where they've gone. You know, bees don't usually fly in a perfectly straight line, so you add a little curlicue in there. If it's easier, of course, you can take the pencil and draw that straight line first, and then go along with it with a pen and go back and erase it later. Once again, there's a lot of stuff you can do before you actually put it onto your piece. So it's a lot of fun. It's very busy, it's a lot of fun. So once again, you can draw these lines with a felt tip pen. That's my preference. It has more control. I honestly like it better. You don't have to go that route. Another route that I tried, and I had a comparison. You can't really tell the difference. Let's see if I can get this in a way where you can see it well without blocking the light. All right, so this column right here, I drew with felt tip pens. Now this column I did with a watercolor, black watercolor on a tiny brush. Now, I'm really used to watercolor brushes. I'm used to working that small, so I was able to get that level of detail I wanted. I think that's more something that I got used to, so if you want to challenge yourself and do strictly watercolor, you can, but it is harder to do some of those tiny details. That's why I go with the felt tip pen, but I'll show you what I mean. All right, so I have, so just so you can see for comparison, here's some of the brushes that I've been using commonly, okay? That's a pretty standard size for a flat or a round. This is the kind of brush that I often work with. See how tiny that is in comparison? And it's I'm used to working with it. I'm used to working on a very small scale. If you have one that small, great. Then go ahead and give this a shot. If you don't, you don't have something small enough to do these details, and I'd suggest going for a pen. All right, but let me show you. Of course, the black pan is too far up for me to show you where it is. So I'm just gonna dip it in the black paint and then just try and use the very tip with the very light touch and do the exact same thing. So I'm gonna say this bumblebee's going this way. So 1, 2, 3 lines. Already you can see that this is taking me a little bit longer because I have to keep pressure, because remember the round brush has this ability, and I'll do this with a bigger brush so you can see the comparison. When you use a round brush, and that's just a very tiny round brush, when you use a round brush, the round brush has the ability to do this thing where, depending on the pressure you put on it, it changes the shape of the width of the stroke. So light pressure, heavy pressure, light pressure, heavy pressure, light pressure, heavy pressure. And that's why using the brush here is not as consistent, and why I would pick the pen instead for these teeny tiny details. Because even though it's harder to see, the same thing happens even with a smaller brush. See if I can get it up here for you. But I will show you how to do it. It is a good experience. It is a good experiment in dexterity. So we'll go back to our little painted bumblebee over here. We're gonna make him happy cute. Once again, I have to be very careful the pressure I put so I don't make it too thick. And you also have varieties in shades. So that one ended up being kind of gray. And once again, if you want those varieties, go for it. That's honestly the fun with watercolors, if you can't control it. All right, get that wing around. Get that, oh, I kind of puddled a little bit, it's okay. And then get that wing around. So once again, if you want to stick with it, you can. It's just not as, you don't have as much control, which you already give so much away. Oh, I like how this thumbprint turned out. If you get the pressure just right, you can actually see like the ridges in the fingerprint. That's why I usually don't like doing it, you know, on this first blot here, because in the second one, it's thin enough that you'll be able to see the ridges of your fingerprint, which I like. Anyways, so we've now practiced our bumblebees, we've practiced our fingerprints. I'm going to refer to my notes. And once again, you can do different colors if you want to. Is your favorite color pink? Do pink bumblebees, go to town. Do you want to do a rainbow set of bumblebees? Great, have a ball, baby. I actually may do a rainbow set on the right side, just for the fun of it. But I'll do yellow on the left, just to show the nice detail. All right, so an important thing is, once again, I say this in every video, I'll keep saying it, the name of the game in watercolor is drying. You have to make sure everything is dry before you put a layer over it, unless you want it to be wet in wet. Let me show you again what that looks like. Sorry, I keep moving rooms in the house. So unless you want stuff to get all muddied and run together, you're gonna have to wait until it's dry and you can paint over it or draw over it. If you start using your pen when the paint is still wet, it'll kind of screw with the pen. And it may actually bleed into the watercolor. So don't do that. All right. And I'm actually gonna use my scratch paper for blotting. I'm gonna go ahead and do these on the side first real quick. I'm actually gonna do a little more pigment in here. And by pigment, I mean putting more of the color of the paint into the puddle of water I have up top. So putting more of this in here so it's more paint to water ratio. All right, so I think that index finger is clean enough, great. Get that nice and wet. I'm gonna blot and then come here and just put it right in the middle. Blot, right in the middle. Nice, good pressure. Those are some chubby bumblebees, I'll tell you what, guys. Okay. Blot, right in the middle. And once again, a lot of the stuff that I try to teach you, I try to make sure it's repeating, it's geometric, it's stuff that you can replicate without me being there giving you a template. Yeah, that first one was nice. It's got little ridges and stuff in it. So once again, this will be a great present for grandparents, aunts, uncles. It could just be something that you hang in their room. I love fingerprint stuff. Oh, I didn't blot that one. Okay, because I got to talking. Well, there you go. All right, so. And there's that. Great. I didn't blot that one either, because once again, I forgot. And that happens, and it's not a big deal. It's actually fun because it gives things more of a variety. So, once again, we want to make sure that these are completely dry before we start painting on them. And as you can see, they're still kind of shiny there in the middle. The paint tends to pool in the middle with this kind of stuff. So we're gonna wait for that to dry. And that's why I did two sides. That way we can do the other side and screw around if we want. All right, so I'm gonna set this aside and do some puddles of paint here that we can do more of. What sounds like fun? Here's some leftover pink that I had made. Oh, that's fun. This is mostly alizarin crimson, but it's a tiny bit of blue, so it kind of turned it into the purplish color. So that'll be fun. Green is my favorite color, and I have that in the tray, so I'm gonna wake that up. Get some green bumblebees in there. Do-do-do-do-do. And then let's do some red. Do a reddish orange. That sounds nice. All right, there's an orange. And then what else do I have? Let's do a purple up here, just because that sounds like fun. This side of the way. I can't tell you how often I spend cleaning out watercolor trays. But the good thing is you just get a paper towel wet and you just soak that sucker right up. No problem. All right, so for purple, what makes purple? What two primary colors down here make purple? Red and blue. Having played with this before, I have a cool red called alizarin, I never can say it right, alizarin crimson. I like that one mixed with the warm blue I have, which is a cobalt. So, but whatever you have is great. Yeah, that's a good purple. All right, I've got yellow, purple, pink, green. Yeah, sounds like fun. Okay. I'm gonna bring this guy back. He's still drying, especially in those last two. Okay. And now, the easiest thing to do is I have this wet paper towel that I've been working with. That'll be the easiest thing. Now you can either like cover each fingertip with a different color, or you can just, wipe it off here in between. So let's start with some purple. And I don't feel like blotting it, so we're just gonna do some fun purple bumblebees. My thumb is not a neat bumblebee, that's for sure. All right, wipe that off. Let's get some pink in there, because that's fun. Oh my, I'm not doing well. These are mutant bumblebees, guys. But we'll make it work. They'll still be a lot of fun. Do an angle over here. All right, so about 3 or 4 of each color, and that'll be nice and even. Let's get a green one in, because green's my favorite. And then these are busy bumblebees flying around. So we will make sure that they have little activity trails. And then orange. We'll do one sideways here. Well, that actually is a nice color. I like that. Here and here. And then we'll throw in some yellow ones just for fun. Awesome. All right. And the good thing about watercolors, it's really easy to come off. And especially if you have kids, they probably have, if you have nicer paints like I do, there's a chance that there's like some nasty things in there that you don't want to be eating later. But with kids paints, I can guarantee that as long as they're kid paints, then you won't have an issue. All right, so how are we doing over here? All right, those are still wet on the bottom, but I'm gonna go ahead and start adding stripes. So the easiest thing for me when I'm doing these is to just do the repetitive work first. You kind of get in a flow. 1, 2, 3. Okay, are my bangs just like covering the camera right now? Oh good, they're not. It's been a problem for me in the past. One, two, three. One, two. One, two, three. One, two, three. Great. Yeah, those are still drying. So we'll just add the other details here now. Let's just add some antenna. I like to have a queen bee, so I follow the crown around the top of her head. Up. And do spikes, make that middle spike higher. And she doesn't need an antenna. So I like giving her some kind of haughty eyes. She's very like, she's the boss. Am I putting my arm in the bumblebees? I probably am. And then take that top line, start there, make a teardrop shape, about down to the bottom of the bumblebee. Like that. And there's another one, and a smaller wing inside. And there, we have a queen bumblebee. Once again, let me check and see if these are dry yet. Not quite. And like I said, it's not good for the pens if you don't let it dry completely. Let me see if I can get this a little closer for you guys so you can get a good look at it. Because the drawing is very tiny. That should help. All right. So while these are still drying, and once again, that's part of the challenge of watercolors. You're always waiting for things to dry. So you're always picking the places to work where things are already dry, and this is how you keep working. For example, we did these first, and then we moved over to the colored spots. That gave our yellow time to dry, let us come back to the colored, and now we're back to the yellow. This is partly why I tend to do things in 2 sets, because watercolor is a game of drying. So, let me pull up our example over here. You'll see that I picked emoji expressions. So if you have a free phone or a tablet or something, just pull up like a text area and see what emojis pop up, and then just imitate them. Just put their expressions on the bumblebees. So, yeah, the sketchbook is large and hard to maneuver. All right, so we got this guy. He needs wings. Teardrop shape from the top line up to the top. Small wing underneath. Teardrop shape all the way down. And as you can see, they're similar enough, but it's also fun because they're not quite the same. So it has uniformity, but it's not identical. And it's still really pleasing. It looks very natural. We're just gonna make him a normal smiley face. Give this guy wings. Give him antenna. And you don't even need the antenna to be identical. You can kind of make those go long, go short. One's lower than the other. This one's gonna be laughing. A nice big open mouth, okay? Gonna give this one his wings too. Teardrop top line to the bottom of the bumblebee. Doo-doo-doo. Now, something you may encounter, because this is something I encounter. This paper is cold press. Okay. What that means is it's not perfectly smooth. So it has this, it's called a tooth. So it's slightly bumpy, just a little bit bumpy. It's kind of like a gravel road, but on paper. So because it's rough, it's almost like a sandpaper a little bit on your pen. So I'm starting to see a little bit, I don't know if you can see it here, parts where it's starting to have a little bit of effect on the pen. But what can you do? That's one of the pros for using the paint to add the lines, but I prefer it this way because once again, I have more control. And I like that. All right, this bumblebee is going to be in love. And so that means that we now need a red marker. And again, if you prefer to use like a tiny brush and paint, great, go to town. If not, use a pen. And then you could also do that same, I always use like these two emojis, especially when I'm talking to my mom. You know what I'm talking about. One with the floating hearts, and then one with the hearts for eyes. Super happy. Again, top line to the bottom of the bee, teardrop shape, smaller line underneath. Now, something you may find, because I'm right-handed, for some reason I find this left wing is easier to draw. So you may have seen me a couple times picking up my pen and kind of doing two sides on the right side. That may be the case. This it really just depends on what you're comfortable with. All right. Aha, these are dry now. So, and really guys, this piece on the left is almost done. It doesn't take much. And then how about a ambivalent bee? You know, with that flat mouth. Maybe his antennae are a little bit lower because he's not quite as short. And once again, this is how I like to draw the bumblebees. But if you play on the scratch paper and find a different way, maybe you like the stinger, maybe you like the wings in a different spot or in a different shape, go for it. Trying to clean up the line on that wing. What else? Oh, we can have the surprise bumblebee. He's looking over here with his mouth open. Oh dear. Big wing, little wing. Big wing, little wing. And then maybe he's looking at the cool bumblebee. I'm just realizing there's a chance that I've said butterfly a lot. Hopefully I haven't. I did a video the other day where I said agriculture instead of architecture like 14 times. So that was fun. Get some sunglasses. What I do is I draw a straight line and then draw 2 half circles underneath it. That's it. All right, he's kind of smirking. He's a cool dude. Put wings on that guy. And then we'll make this one just a little bit worried. You know how the emoji has the little sweat drop right here? Just put a little blue teardrop right above his head. In blue. And then he's just a little bit worried. And that's okay. And he needs wings too. Now if that's all you did, congrats, you're done. It's super cute, it's done, it's graphic design, it's got a nice blank space down here. It'll just look very nice in uniform. I'm not gonna erase the lines right now, but I will come back and do that later. For now, I'm going to move over here and show you what my intention is with these colored guys. Because once again, you can make these very busy. So I'm gonna say, and once again, you can do things where you're sketching out the lines that they're coming from. And just do one curly Q, just to make it fun. Okay. And it's easier to see here. The curve is like dipped down, so this is where I'm planning to put the eyes. So because of that, the curve of his head is like that, and the curve of his stripes go like this. See, they kind of come together like a circle, just so you can help remember. Excuse me. And then we take that pencil line. And we go along it. It looks like he's flying. And then he's gone somewhere. Once again, I do the wings in the same way. One big wing, one little wing under the body. Now you can do emojis here as well with the sunglasses and the heart for eyes, or you can just keep it simple and keep it just eyes, so then you can know which direction is up. That one's dry. Just wanted to check. Got a little trail going here. Once again, wings from the top line, one big wing, one little wing. Yep, that one's still a little bit wet. Hello. Artistic license, right? Abstract, say abstract. You can also do the trail here too. With the mixed colors, that's fun because you can kind of see the variations where the paints come together like it's a wet and wet wash. Alright, so he's flying this way. He is a chubby bumblebee. Two wings. There you go. You get the idea. And you just can keep that up for as many bumblebees as you have on here. Just make sure that everything is dry before you add a face to it or draw on the paint if you don't want to smear the paint or ruin the pen that you have. You can do it in this super ordered way like I have over here, or you can do it in this more free-for-all way like I have over here, which is probably better for little kids. Not as much patience or control needed with that, and still something super cute and easy to do. 2 wings. And once again, it's just trying to do something cartoony and fun. That's it, guys. This one's a lot shorter because it's a lot simpler, and we don't have to do a lot of drawing time for waiting. So, once again, you'll come back over to this side, and you'll erase the pencil later. And of course, you could put it in a square frame if you want to, but honestly, you could do it like in a rectangular frame in this white space down here. It would look really nice. It just keeps it open, keeps it bright. Anyways, that's what I have for you guys today. Pretty simple, pretty fun, and super cute. I think we all could do something cheerful right now. Let me show you some of the stuff I'm working on to teach you guys in the near future. I do have a class that I'll be doing on Saturday. If you are more advanced, this isn't a little kid one. I'll be showing you how to do this this foggy lake scene. It's not that hard, but it'd be hard for kids. I'm actually kind of at a loss for kid ideas, so if you have anything, please send them my way. So I'll be doing this on Saturday. I have other ones I haven't scheduled yet. This one I haven't finished, but this will include hand lettering, which I'm pretty excited about. Nice florals, just very contemporary stuff. This one I'll be scheduling soon as well. Very easy, geometric. You just measure it out, and basically, we're going to be basically creating our own coloring book, essentially. And I'll walk you through it step by step, and because it doesn't have overlapping layers, it actually goes pretty fast. I am trying to put together like a rainbow one for kids, but that one's still a little bit of a work in progress. And I will be teaching you guys more techniques as well. I'll be doing things like teaching you how to create this this color chart, which is overlapping colors, to basically take your basic colors in the paint tray, which I will try and show you without too much wiggling around. All of these basic colors can be turned into a sheet of colors like this. So that's what that is. I'll also be going over textures with you soon and color harmonies. Color harmonies are basically color palettes. You can look these up on Pinterest. That's the word, Pinterest. Anytime. I'll also be going over more textures with you. I'm excited about that. Ways that you can use leaves and toilet paper rolls, rubber bands, spaghetti noodles. I really like that one. Webbing from an old, like the scrubbies in the shower for that kind of texture. Windex to add this texture. Bleach. Dish detergent. You can use bubbles to get some interesting textures. I have like a fern-like tree outside of our house. I got some good effects with that. And also how you can use like a straw to get these like kind of crazy looking things. So I will be teaching you other stuff like that in the near future. I am working on other start to finish pieces for you, but hopefully you enjoyed today. As always, if you have any questions, let me know. I'll be back soon, and I look forward to doing this again and hang out with you on Saturday. Until then, have a good day. Bye.